who is our outreach facilitator. We're going to share some general program information with you tonight. You'll hear from some preschool teachers. You'll have the chance to virtually tour one of our preschool classrooms. And at the end of the presentation, we will be answering questions that you previously submitted on the Google form earlier. And we will also give you a chance to ask questions at the end of the presentation using the chat feature. So at the end of the presentation, you can enter your questions in the chat column. You can certainly enter them as we're presenting, but hopefully we will answer those questions as we go through the presentation tonight too. You'll notice at the bottom of this slide that it does make a notation that the photos in the presentation were taken before ECFE and preschool programs began following state health and safety guidelines in response to COVID-19. So you will see adults without masks in the pictures, but as we'll cover in the presentation, we are following COVID guidelines in our classrooms. So all of the staff do have face coverings of some kind in the classrooms too. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome and thank you for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to start the slideshow for us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Let's see here. As you can see, we have a number of programming options available for you. Just a quick at a glance here for 3-year-old preschool. 4-year-old preschool has a number of different options. Option 1, Option 2, and Option 3. All of our classrooms are aligned with the Anoka-Hennepin Schools kindergarten curriculum. All of our staff, or all the classrooms are taught by licensed teachers. The Option 3 programming, which is our 4-year-old Option 3 and also our 3-year-old preschool program, do have a fee for attending, but you'll notice right below that there is also tuition assistance. So we do provide tuition assistance for our fee-based classrooms as well. There are morning classes. There are also afternoon classes. And we do have evening options available as well as Saturday options for our 4-year-old programming options. There are many locations available for our preschool classrooms across the district. Class schedules are fairly similar across the options, September to May or June. And you can see the lottery registration deadlines listed on the at-a-glance sheet as well. So April 9th is the lottery deadline for our 3-year-old and 4-year-old Option 3 programming. There's no lottery deadline for our Option 1 programming. Registrations come throughout the year. Once you have your available paperwork in, we can slot you into a class for those programming options. For 4-year-old preschool Option 2, again, there's no lottery deadline, and we do take registrations throughout the year until those slots are filled as well. Some of those options do fill up rather quickly. So we encourage you to get your paperwork in for Options 1 and 2. As soon as you know that's the location that works for you and that you meet the qualifications for those options. Available attendance area, which falls into the qualifications I just referenced. For 3-year-old programming and also our 4-year-old preschool Option 3, it's open to all Anoka-Hennepin residents. Outside of district families may also register, but that's after our initial lottery. We do reserve slots for in-district families for our initial lottery process. For Option 1, it is open to all Anoka-Hennepin residents who live within specific school boundaries, and we'll touch on those a little bit later tonight. So you do have to fall within certain attendance areas to qualify for Option 1. For our Option 2 programming, again, open to Anoka-Hennepin residents who live within specific school boundaries. You'll notice Options 1 and Option 2 do have transportation available with them. Our Option 3 programs, which is the 3-year-old and 4-year-old, parent transport is a requirement for those programs. Options 1 and 2 either have breakfast or lunch provided, depending on if they're morning or afternoon. If it is an off-site location, we do a significant snack at those locations. And our Option 3 programming has a snack only. For attending based on income, that is our Option 1 programming. So that is the one option that you do have to income qualify, and we'll take a look at some of those requirements later. It's based on family size and income of the family. And whether or not you can choose the location. So for 3-year-old preschool and also our 4-year-old Option 3, You are able to choose which location works best for you. Options 1 and 2, again, are based on specific attendance areas due to busing. All right, Anoka-Hennepin Schools. We offer high quality preschool programming, as I referenced in our at a glance sheet. It is taught by licensed preschool teachers. All of our teachers have a teaching license. Many have their master's degree as well. Curriculum and assessments that align with district kindergarten readiness benchmarks. We use creative curriculum, also our second step curriculum, which is a social emotional curriculum. We have curriculums for science, math, and sensory that go along with our creative curriculum as well. Locations are available throughout the district, and we have online registration for all of our preschool programming options. COVID-19 preparedness plan. This question came up from many people as well. So we are following MDE and MDH guidance related to COVID-19 procedures. We've always had our students wash their hands when they enter the classroom. We're certainly doing more hand washing anytime they leave to go to the gym, to the, to go to their locker. When they come back into the classroom, they do wash their hands. Any high-touch surfaces, which are lockers, chairs, countertops, are cleaned throughout the day. School district buildings have all had bipolar ionization systems installed in all of their buildings this fall. So we have those in all of our school district buildings. Face coverings are not required for preschool students. We do have many preschool students who are wearing them, and that is up to parents whether or not they want to send their child in a mask or a face covering. But we do ask that the child be self-sufficient with that and that they leave the mask on if they come to school with the mask on. And staff do wear face coverings. So you'll see in one of the photos, they have the face shield on for large group times or times where they're focused maybe on speech or the facial expressions. They wear a shield rather than the face mask. As they're moving around the room, they may have the face mask on along with the shield. Guidance on when to keep children home, that goes home with all of our parents as to what symptoms to watch for children, when you should keep children home. Also, we have guidance for staff that specifically states when to stay home, and it's probably similar to what you see in a lot of businesses you go to. If you have any of the following symptoms, please do not enter. So we follow those procedures as well. And then we do have on our district website specific guidance and safety protocols outlined if you want to look more closely at what those guidelines are. So what's different about Anoka-Hennepin Preschool options 1 and 2? Again, they're open to all residents who live within specific school boundaries. They have transportation, a meal or a snack is provided. Students are placed in morning or afternoon sessions based on district busing routes. So at those locations, you don't choose whether you're morning or afternoon. It is based on transportation routes because we utilize the district buses. And there's no lottery process for that. Students are accepted when all of the required documents are received. So as soon as you get the documents in, we can get you placed into the class. They, again, follow the same curriculum that you'll have in option 3. All of our classrooms follow the same curriculum and have the same expectations around assessment and documentation. Taught by licensed teachers. Again, no fee for attending. Tuition assistance isn't required because it's a no fee associated with the program for options 1 and 2. Morning and afternoon options. There are not evening classes or Saturday classes for options 1 and 2. You can see the number of locations available, the class schedule. Again, no lottery deadline. Specific attendance areas. So you can see those in the brochure, the catalog, which attendance areas are covered for different elementary schools, but we certainly welcome your questions after the presentation if you have specific questions about what area you might be able to qualify for under those options. Transportation is provided.
Tracy, your microphone went out just for a moment.
Oh, do you hear me now?
I do.
Okay.
You were talking about the available attendance area.
Okay, so at the end of the presentation, if you have specific questions around attendance areas, certainly I'll share my phone number for my office number, and Michelle stays online afterwards too. If it's a pretty specific question, we will be able to answer those for you at the end as well. Transportation is provided. We did have the question last week as to whether or not you had to take that transportation. You do not. If you do not want your child to ride a bus, you do have the option to transport your child yourself as well. Meal or a snack, you attend based on income for option 1. So that one is a tuition or your qualification is based on family income for that option. Option 2, there is no proof of income required. One of the questions that came up that was submitted is why that difference is there. So there are 2 different funding streams through Minnesota Department of Education, and they have different requirements. So the option 2 is commonly referred to as like voluntary pre-kindergarten programming, and across the district or across the state, any districts who apply for that and qualify for it are able to provide a certain number of locations that have no income qualifying preschool, and it's just free for all 4-year-olds within a certain attendance area. Whether or not you can choose the location, you do not choose the location. Again, it is based on busing for AM and PM and on a certain attendance area. So what's different with 3-year-old and 4-year-old preschool options? These are the option 3 programming. So again, same curriculum that we use in options 1 and 2, creative curriculum, second step, science, sensory, math, large motor activities. There is a fee for attending these, again, taught by licensed teachers, but there's also tuition assistance available for families. So if this is the option that you qualify for, you still can get tuition assistance based on your income. Morning and afternoon classes. We also have the evening classes on Monday, Wednesday evenings, or on Tuesday, Thursday evenings. Those classes are 2 hours in the evening. We found 2.75 hours was too long for preschoolers after they've been perhaps at daycare during the day or busy all day at home with family or relative member. So 2 hours for evening classes, and then we have our Saturday classes, which again are 2.75 hours. You can see the number of locations available, the class schedule, and these 2 are lottery registration deadlines. So if you're applying for option 3, you want to make sure you have your registration in prior to 10 a.m. on Friday, April 9th. If you miss that deadline, you can still register for option 3. You just will not be in that first lottery registration. It is open to all Anoka-Hennepin residents for the initial lottery. After that, we do accept people outside of the district, but we prioritize those slots for district members. Parents do have to transport for option 3. A snack is provided, and you can choose the location. So you choose what location works best for you, what time works best for you, whether it's morning or afternoon. So questions around how the preschool lottery works. It is, like I said, for our option 3 registrations. Any registrations that are submitted between March 23rd and April 9th are included in that initial lottery. We encourage families to select up to 3 class choices. The lottery is a random computer-generated placement of students in one of their 3 choices. If your first choice you don't get your first choice, then you're prioritized for your second or third choice. We always try to make sure families get one of their 3 choices, which is why we really encourage you to list 3 that will work for you. Once the lottery is run, you receive a confirmation email showing what class your child was placed in. Occasionally, very rarely, but we do have a couple people each year that all 3 of their classes are filled. At that point, we would notify you and give you the chance to make another selection before we're opening it up to out-of-district residents. The preschool curriculum provides students with a wide variety of learning experiences because we really want children learning through play and providing them with experiences that they may not have had before. So we're looking at social skills, art and music activities, and our art activities are process art. So we want them to experiment with different materials, and they're not going to look the same when they're done. You're not going to see everyone making the same art project because it's about the process. Science, dramatic play, writing, library and books, math and number sense. So you'll see dice and written numbers and tally marks and finger patterns, holding up fingers for the number that's shown on the die. Large muscle, focusing on those pre-kindergarten skills, not just the academic pieces, but can they stand in line? Can they take turns? Can they put their own jacket on? Can they put their papers into their backpack? Strategic thinking skills with blocks, games, and puzzles. And you'll hear a bit more about the curriculum when we hear from our preschool teachers as well.
And now we will move on to an overview. Lori Onstead is one of our preschool teachers at Mississippi Elementary School.
Hello. Before I introduce myself, I just really want to congratulate you for making this choice or considering this choice to enroll your child in preschool next year. Preschool is one of those amazing things. Your child will start one kind of person and they'll come out a completely different, empowered little 4 or 5-year-old. We are privileged to share your children. We're so grateful that you trust us to have them in our classrooms, and we take that privilege very seriously. We teach preschool because we love hanging out with 4 and 5-year-olds, and they're very, very entertaining. We learn lots about what happens in your homes from your little ones, and they're just great. They have a wonderful perspective that we just appreciate so much. My name is Lori Onstead. I teach the Option 1 program over at Mississippi Elementary School. We are a half-day program. Kids come either in the morning or in the afternoon. They come via bus. The transportation is provided. We are an income-based program, so you need to qualify based on your income to qualify for that program. And kids come 4 days a week, so Monday through Thursday, either in the morning or Monday through Thursday in the afternoon. Our half days are 2 3/4 hours, so almost 3 hours. And then children, in addition to transportation, get lunch or breakfast each day. So morning kids get breakfast, afternoon kids get lunch. It's the first thing that we do before we start our day. I will spend some time talking about independence or self-help skills and social emotional skills. We have several objectives in our curriculum that cover those things specifically because we know that those skills are critical for success in kindergarten. We want your kids to be successful. We know that preschool is often the first experience for children to be away from their caregivers or their parents, and our environment, our classroom environment is set up to encourage that independence. That is why when you want activities are age appropriate. They're meant to be appealing, they're meant to be fun and engaging to preschoolers. And we account for the short attention span that preschoolers have at the beginning of the year. Really all year long, their attention span is shorter than it will be, come kindergarten. And we work to stretch that throughout the year, but we know when they come to us, they don't like to sit for very long. They're very busy and active and want to engage in all the things that are in the room. And so we make our expectations low, we make our activities short and brief, and again, very appealing and fun to get them to come and want to listen to what we have to say. We work very hard on lots of things at the beginning of the year. Self-help skills and independence skills are hugely important, especially those first few weeks of school. Among other things, kids are expected to hang up, put on their own coats, try zipping their own coats. They're expected to put away their own backpacks. Come wintertime, we want them to change into their boots and then back into their shoes again when we go outside. They get to make their own breakfast and lunch choices. Sometimes we get to the point where we can teach them their PIN numbers and they enter that in. They find their own workspace and they put away their own materials. All those things they're prompted to do by us at the beginning of the year. Teachers are there to support them. We know that those things are really hard for some kids at the beginning of the year, but we also know those are things that children can do. They can hang up their own coat. They can work on putting on their own shoes. And if they can't do it successfully on their own, we are there to meet them where they are, to help them be successful. and get them to the next level. It's so important. If you come away with anything from this video, I want you to know it's so important for kids to try to do things for themselves, because allowing them to try things and becoming successful, when they see that they have success after they've tried something independently, it means that they're more apt to try something else that they haven't done before, because they know they were successful here. They're going to try something new again, and hopefully they'll be successful there. Those building blocks build on each other, and they empower children like nothing else does. About mid-year, kids come into the classroom and it is their space. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It doesn't belong to their parents or their older siblings. It is theirs, and they have a profound ownership over their lockers, over their cubbies, over their name books. They know that that's theirs, and they feel like they belong. And so it makes sense for them. They feel safe enough to try those new things and not worry about failure, because they know that we're there to help them along the way. A huge part of our day is playtime. And the phrase "we just play" is really misconstrued. Playing is essential for preschoolers. It's an opportunity for them to learn and practice social skills. And we absolutely, no 4-year-old has come to my classroom yet who is a perfect turn taker or toy sharer. We all need practice in those skills. And some of us need help learning how to just assert ourselves. If somebody takes something from us, we need to say, hey, I was using that, and learn how to do that independently too. So a big chunk of our day is playing. Kids are allowed to make the choices that they want to in the room. And then we are there to support those social interactions, because they will happen. Those conflicts always do. And so we're there to give them the words, give them the tools to help them navigate those situations so that they can play independently without adults, but have more success playing with other kids. And that's a big focus of our curriculum all year long, is helping them be successful socially with each other. Before kindergarten, we want preschoolers to have experience sharing and taking turns, following directions, participating at group time, asking for help from a teacher or a friend, and initiating and negotiating play with a peer. We know lots of kids don't have experience with that when they come to us at preschool, and we know that lots of kids won't have that mastered by the time they leave us in preschool, but they will get lots of practice working on those skills when they're with us. Also, we use a social emotional curriculum called Second Step to talk about different situations that children find themselves in proactively. We have picture cards that show scenarios, and we kind of talk them through. We use puppets, again, all very much on a child's level, to get them used to and helping give them the words and the tools to navigate some trickier social situations that they might find themselves in. Finally, I have a demonstration I want to show you. This is indicative of what we are symbolic of something that we do in the classroom all the time. So when I say we want things to be fun and engaging, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I have this big piece of cardboard with these lines and numbers on them. And to us, it looks like a piece of cardboard with numbers and lines on it, but it is actually a parking garage. And each parking spot has one car that belongs in there. And so the way we play this, and I always get a big group that wants to play this when we do, so we all sit around the table, and I hold a basket, and it's got a bunch of cars in it, and they all have a number on it. I use my nice label maker and put numbers on them. So I hold the basket, kids reach their hand in, there is no peeking. So you reach in, grab a car, and you get what you get, and then you are to name the number that's on there. Again, if you don't know that number, I'm there. I'm going to tell you what that number is called, and we'll talk through it. It has a 2 and a 3. It is 23. And so then their job is to use this car. Of course, I picked one that's way on the other side here. That's going to get parked over here in spot 23. And the next kid's going to go, and so on. And then when we're finished, we're going to count each of the spots through the whole parking lot. So we get practice counting 1 through 30 then too. Again, kids don't know they're learning their numbers. They don't know that they're practicing counting. They know that they are doing this really fun game with cars and a parking ramp. Again, they're practicing taking turns too. They don't realize that that's what's happening either. They're just having fun. And those are exactly the kind of activities that we want to do when we come to preschool. So good luck to you in making this decision. And I wish you and your preschoolers, your future preschoolers, the very, very best.
Thank you, Lori. I absolutely love the parking garage. It's always been one of my kids' favorites as well, and something easy you can do at home. So let's hear from a couple of other teachers. We have a team classroom at Anoka Family Place with Gina Bergeron and Michelle Tentis.
Hello, my name is Gina, and I am a school readiness preschool teacher. The first thing I'd like to tell you a little bit about are the class options that you can sign up for your child to attend preschool here at our program. So we do provide preschool for both 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. They have the option to come 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or even 4 days a week. We provide morning classes, afternoon classes, and there's even an evening option for those of you that feel it works better for your schedule and for your child to come after the workday or even in the evening. All of our classes are 2.75, but the evening class is only 2 hours in length. No matter the days that you sign your child up to come to preschool, there are some core components that each classroom will incorporate into their preschool day or their preschool routine. So the first is a small group. This is where your child will be working on a focused skill for the day. This is a great opportunity for them to have one-on-one teaching in that small group setting. And it's also a chance where they'll be able to work on those focused literacy and math skills. Your classroom will also incorporate a play or a choice time. So this is where we feel a lot of the social and emotional skills are developed for your child. It's a non-teacher instructed time, so your child is able to work on sharing those problem-solving skills, as well as those student-led ideas that are not brought up by the teacher. Your child's class will also have a large group incorporated into their classroom routine. This is where a featured story will be read to them, as well as working on that letter of the week. And lastly, their schedule at their preschool will have a large motor or a physical activity. Some locations are fortunate enough to have a gym, while others use their space within their classroom. So depending on where they are, where your child is signed up, will kind of differ with what they are provided. But everyone will have a chance to work on those large motor skills, whether it's a playground or a gym, or those dancing videos that they do in the classroom. Lastly, I wanted to tell you about 3 of the curriculums that each preschool classroom will also incorporate into their routine or their day. So the first being creative curriculum. So creative curriculum is something that we use in the preschool classrooms, and it incorporates 12 studies that the teacher can pick from. So this is maybe something they will be learning about trees. So if the tree is the study, then your child will be learning about that specific topic for 4 to 6 weeks with different hands-on activities, lessons, stories, things that all relate around the topic or the study that the teacher is picking for that time period. The second is the Teaching Strategies Gold. So this is something that we use, and it is aligned with the kindergarten standards. So we do these checkpoints 3 times throughout the course of the year to make sure that your child is progressing and developing, and whatever age they may be at, but we want to make sure that they're progressing and developing over the course of the year. And then the last one is our second step. This is our social and emotional curriculum that we use to help students cope or identify those feelings throughout different situations. So each week there is a different social skill that is focused on, and it also incorporates whole group discussions to talk about those feelings.
Hi, My name is Michelle Tentis. I'm an early childhood special ed teacher with the Anoka-Hennepin School District. I am currently working in a team taught classroom at the Educational Service Center with Gina. A team taught classroom is a preschool that is team taught by a special education teacher and a regular ed teacher. So Gina and I teach together along with our assistant, Deanna. And then we have a speech person or OT or PT come into our classroom as needed. Anoka-Hennepin provides special education throughout our preschool program. We have 7 team taught rooms, which is similar to mine and Gina's. We have several classrooms that have an additional para or assistant in the classroom to assist children with special needs. We also have consultative spots where if children need support in any of our preschool programs, the teacher can come in to help consultatively, or speech clinician can come in and help. So that is throughout all of our preschool programs. We follow the preschool curriculum and we work very closely with the preschool staff as a team. A reminder, if your child is 3, remember to go through screening, very important. And if you ever have concerns about your child's development or any questions about services or any concerns at all, just talk to your teacher and we would be happy to help you out. Thanks. I look forward to preschool starting again.
Thank you, Michelle and Gina. And now we're going to go to Barb Carlson. She's a teacher at preschoolers.
Hi, I'm Barb Carlson, and I am the preschool teacher at Andover High School. I've been at Andover for about 12 years, and I've been with the school readiness program for about 22 years, I think, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about preschool in the high schools. The way it works is it's a collaboration between preschool and the Family and Consumer Science Department of the high schools. So the high schoolers benefit because they observe the preschool class through a one-way mirror. They also come into our classroom 4 or 5 at a time for about an hour once a week, or once a day for a week, and work directly with the preschool students. The high school students are prepped on the Friday before they come into preschool and are given specific tasks that they are supposed to be doing. So the high schoolers are never alone with the children, and they're closely supervised by us. It really benefits everybody in a different way, but I think that the high schoolers...
I apologize. Let me see if we can get this going again.
In particular, to be housed in a high school is really a benefit. We go and listen to the band rehearse. We listen to the orchestra and the choir. We sometimes go to the gym. We've done some work with the art classes. So we have our own little community within the high school, and the high school is very supportive of our program. It benefit also for me as a teacher. It's really nice to have extra adult hands in the classroom, and to
I apologize for this difficulty. We'll try it again here, and if we get stuck, know that we will include this video in the recording in a different method. So let's try it again here.
It benefit also for me as a teacher. It's really nice to have extra adult hands in the classroom, and to have these wonderful playmates who are there because they want to be there and they want to learn about children. It really is a benefit for the preschool children because at least for an hour a day, they have all these great high schoolers there who are ready to play with them and help them. It's not
It looks as though this is not going to work tonight for Barb's message. We will be sure to include it on our next recording that we do send to you so that you have the full recording of it. I will let you know that this year things have been a little different with high school students in the classroom. They have not actually been in the classroom. They have been observing, and that is due to our COVID protocols. And we will see how things are next year based on those protocols if the high school students are back in the classroom. So now let's move on, and we will get a classroom tour from Megan Blatchley.
Hi, prospective preschool families. My name is Megan Blatchley, and I'm here at Sutterberg Early Childhood Center in Coon Rapids. I want to take you on a tour of my classroom so you can see what a typical preschool day is like in Anoka-Hennepin's early childhood programs. Come on in, follow me. Welcome to our room. Here's the bird's eye view of our classroom. Notice all the different centers around the room. We'll stop at each one of them on our tour and talk about the skills that students are practicing and developing, starting with my favorite, art. The students in my classroom participate in art every day they come to school. Art encourages children to express imagination and creativity, practice hand-eye coordination, improve control of drawing and art tools, and appreciate and value their work. It's also a great place for them to practice writing their name. Over at our science table, we're studying mirrors and reflections. Science encourages children to use their senses to ask questions and explore materials, to make observations and solve problems, to use language to compare, predict, and classify, as well as using simple tools and equipment for investigation. Each classroom features a calming corner. This is an area of the classroom where students can go if they need to take a break and cool down their body. Each corner features a variety of fidgets, calming toys, and calming strategies, which students can use to regulate their emotions and return to the group. Next to our calming corner is our library. Reading encourages children to gain meaning by listening, develop an expanded vocabulary.
I apologize. Let's get this going again. Seems as though we are having video difficulties this evening. Not the way we wanted this to go, folks. I apologize.
Encourages children to gain meaning by listening, develop an expanded vocabulary, comprehend and respond to stories, show appreciation for books and reading, and connect written and spoken languages.
See if we can get the math to work here. Megan's got such a beautiful video. I really want you to see it. I'm going to go back just a few seconds here.
Next to our calming corner is our library. Reading encourages children to gain meaning by listening, develop an expanded vocabulary, comprehend and respond to stories, show appreciation for books and reading, and
my goodness, certainly not the way we wanted to present our preschool program to you all. I apologize. We do have a recording of this from our last session on March 1st, so I will work on getting that together this evening and off to you tomorrow morning so you can get these last two videos. This one doesn't seem to be working at this time either. My sincerest apologies. We can talk about our Adventures Bound program, which is brought to us by the Adventures Plus program. Jody Abrahamson and Carol Farron are here to talk about that this evening. Ladies?
You're muted, Carol.
Sorry, I got the camera on. All right, it's just me, Carol, tonight. Jody couldn't be with us, but I'm here to talk about our Adventures Bound program. It is a full-day school year childcare program from our Adventures Plus program. It is offered for our 4-year-old children at 2 locations. It'll be at Brookside and Johnsville Elementary Schools next year. We offer a lot of the same curriculum that the other preschool programs offer as well, with the creative curriculum, the social and emotional learning, the second step program. We have centers throughout the day. We are a program that is all day long. We open at 6:30 and close at 6 o'clock p.m. So we have a day full of lots of great activities for the 4-year-olds that includes all of those things. We offer families an opportunity to prepare your children for kindergarten in a safe and nurturing environment. Our staff are specially trained to work with our preschool students. We have consistent staffing and routines for the children. It is the only full-time childcare offered for 4-year-olds in the district. You will receive a monthly invoice. Our rates are in the slides there for you. We do serve breakfast and snack each day. Your child may bring a lunch to the program, or they can purchase a lunch in the school cafeteria as well. Like I said, we are open from 6:30 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. We are a parent or guardian drop-off and pickup program. And our registration is now open. If you, and we have space at both of those locations still for next school year. So if you are interested in registering, please go to our website and do that. I will also list my email and our website in the chat box if you have any further questions.
Carol, there are some questions coming through about Bound in the chat. If you want to maybe answer them in the chat, that's what worked well last week with Jody.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, I am going to start out by going through the questions that were submitted ahead of time. And I'm also going to pull some of the questions from last week that we tend to get frequently from families as well. As we're doing that, feel free to put any additional questions in the chat, and I will go through them after we've gone through the submitted questions. So some questions about, if you do not meet income guidelines for option 1, can you still attend that school? Unfortunately not. Again, that's around Minnesota Department of Education guidelines, that those funding dollars for those schools do have to go to families who meet certain income guidelines. Options and costs for the other option 3 program are listed in the brochure. Michelle, did you send the link to that with the registration tonight, or will it be coming after?
I will send it after, as well as they probably have gotten them in the mail by now.
All right, some questions around the High Five program. So we, up here at our main district office, will have a classroom that is for our older students. The difference between a child who turns 5, middle of September, end of September, and a child who has just turned 4 is pretty significant. So we thought we would try a classroom which has our older students in it. So if you have, a student who turns 5 in September or October, it would be a good classroom to put them in. We'll still follow the creative curriculum and the teaching strategies goal, but those are on a continuum. So we'll be able to meet where they're at developmentally, and we should be able to target the skills that they're bringing into the classroom and focus on maybe a little more advanced opportunities for those High Five students. Questions about a child who turns 5 in November and what grade level they should register that child for. So students do need to be either 3 by September 1st or 4 by September 1st. So whatever age they are on September 1st is the class that you would register them for. So for this child turning 5 in November, you'd register him for a 4-year-old preschool option. Questions around when info would come out for kids who have qualified for preschool through early intervention and are getting special education services. Those placements come through your case manager, so you would want to work with your case manager and find out what that date is. We save places in all of our classes for students on individualized education plans, and those placements are made by case managers. So work with your case manager to determine when you'll get that information. Questions about what a preschool day looks like. So there are centers in all of the classrooms, which you started to see some of those pieces in there, but most classrooms also start with their day with a large group. They have 1 to 2 large groups during the day. Many start with the large group because it's a time to introduce students to the new materials in the classroom, to talk about who the class helpers are going to be that day, to tell them what the schedule is for the day, to go over the calendar, those kind of pieces. So you've got a couple of large groups. You have small group activities, which are focused on specific skills. Maybe playing some games, doing some turn taking, following directions. Lots of math and literacy games happen in small group. Also social skills are worked on in small group activities. And then there's free choice time, which is about 60 minutes of the day as student directed play. So the materials they're choosing in the classroom are very intentional, and they have learning goals in mind when they place those materials in the classroom, and then teachers are facilitating the learning that's taking place by using those materials. So some big chunks of the day, and you'll see the same type of schedules across our district program. Let's take a look here at what else you submitted. Contingency plan for distance learning and what it's looking like at this point. At this time, we don't know what the guidance will be for fall. Right now, we are fully in person for our preschool classes with the guidance that we need to allow for 3 feet of social distancing in our classrooms, and that staff also have a face covering. And then we continue to follow the cleaning procedures that are in place. At this point, you know, like I said, we don't know what it will look like come fall, but we're hopeful that our classes will be operating at full capacity. When will the enrollment begin? We covered that. Lottery registrations happen March 23rd. Make sure you have them in by April 9th to be a part of that lottery. For options 1 and 2, you can start working on getting your paperwork and get registered for those classes now. Let's see, a question about whether schools would be assigned. Again, for option 3, it's up to you where you would enroll your child. Options 1 and 2 are based on your elementary attendance area. I think that is primarily what was submitted here. I am going to cover some of the other more common questions that we have had, again, around the COVID precautions. Like I said, class sizes would be guided by MDH and MDE, and we do allow for the social distancing. We would plan, again, you know, we have the 3 models planned for: fully in person, a hybrid option where children attend half the time, so class sizes would be half size. You know, half the kids come Monday, half the kids would come Wednesday, and then we would also have a plan for a distance learning option. Hopefully we'll just be fully in person and going forward that way. As we get closer to what those guidelines are, we would certainly share them with families as well, as you'll probably hear them from the governor throughout the summer and fall as well. Whether or not you can get transportation for 3-year-old and 4-year-old option 3 preschool, the district does not provide transportation for those options. The funding streams for options 1 and 2 require transportation. We don't have the capacity to transport all of our preschoolers, so for now it's just options 1 and 2 that have that as an option. The majority of our classrooms, when we're talking about staffing ratios, have 3 staff in the rooms: the preschool teacher, a preschool assistant, and then there's either a special education teacher or a special education para. So 3 staff in the classroom. Maximum number of students in option 1 is 18. Option 2 has a maximum of 20 children, and option 3 has a maximum of 16 3-year-old children or 18 4-year-old children. So a little bit smaller for our 3-year-old classes, knowing that they need a little bit more support, a little bit more help working on some of those independent skills. Questions about toileting and whether or not bathroom breaks are scheduled. Typically, there are just times of the day that it's very natural to build a bathroom break into the schedule. When they're transitioning from the classroom to the gym, they'll stop at the bathroom. Before snack time, they'll use the bathroom and wash hands. Before large group time, so you don't have a lot of students getting up during group time when story's happening or they're taking part in a group activity. But children can, of course, also ask to go to the bathroom when they need to. Staff would then accompany them to the bathroom, but they do need to be independent with their toileting. Some classes have bathrooms in the rooms, others are nearby, so staff would accompany them if they have to leave the classroom. We do ask that children have an extra set of clothes in their backpacks just in case they do have an accident, and then the teacher would talk them through changing themselves, but again, we want them to be self-sufficient with changing out of their wet clothes and taking care of their accident. We would certainly let parents know too that there are wet clothes in the backpack so that you're aware that they are there. Occasionally, we do have a student who just is not fully toilet trained yet and is having accidents regularly, and at that point, we may remove them from the class until they are potty trained. And then we would hold that spot in the class for you for a specific amount of time as you work on developing your child's ability to be toilet trained. Requirements around preschool screening. We do require screening for preschoolers, but we also know that you may not be able to get that appointment before preschool starts. So when you register your child, we encourage you to make the appointment for screening, but we also know that appointment may not happen before preschool starts, and we'll still start the preschooler on the start date in mid-September. So just encourage you to get that screening done within 90 days of preschool starting. Always questions around how you choose which preschool to attend. Options 1 and 2, it's really based on those attendance boundaries. Option 3, just whatever works best for your schedule and whether or not your child can do a morning session or an afternoon session, or maybe even the evening option. So whatever fits best for your schedule. And questions around how many days you should choose. We have 2-day options, 3-day options, and 4-day-a-week options. Our option 2 programming is a 5-day-a-week option. But really, you know what your child is ready for. Are they ready for 2 days of preschool? Is this their first experience? A 2-day option might be a good fit. If you think they're just ready to go and really need 4 days of preschool, take a look at those options. Think about what goals you have for your child. If it's social emotional, if it's academic, if it's independence. Think about whether or not they've had experience separating. Teachers do a great job of supporting children and parents as you separate from your child. But think about what experiences they've had. One of the teachers references in the video, giving your child opportunities to be away from you, whether it's with a neighbor or a babysitter, even if it's half an hour, just so they start to learn that, mom or dad or grandma or auntie comes back too. So starting to develop those skills with your child. And let's see here. I think that is it for the pre-submitted questions. So I'm going to kind of flip through the ones that you have been submitting in the chat here. So I'm going to go up here just a little bit. Andover Elementary School, wondering what option they might go to. We have programming at Andover High School and also Andover Family Place if you're looking for something in the Andover area. The Anoka Educational Center isn't that far as well, Anoka High School. Will parents be allowed to visit the preschool classrooms to volunteer and read to the class? This year, there are not parents going into buildings. We're not sure what that will look like next year, what those guidelines will be about minimizing the number of people coming into classrooms. So I don't have a full answer for you on that, but typically we do have, like days, even this year we did an open house. It was just on a smaller scale. So 2 to 3 families attended at a time rather than all of the people who had registered for the class. So you'll still get an opportunity to see the classroom. I'm not sure what those volunteer opportunities might be like in the coming year. Which goes into the next one. Will parents be allowed to visit the preschool classrooms? There will be an open house of some format. We're just not sure what the size will be. That will be based on guidance from MDE and MDH. The cost and where is the High Five program going to be located? The High Five program is a 4-day-a-week program, 2.75 hours, either in the morning or the afternoon. It's located at our main district office in Anoka, right off Ferry Street. And let me see here, I do have that schedule in front of me here.
I will also send out the link to the brochure this evening so that you can all take a look at that and review locations and pricing and things such as that, as well as our tuition assistance availability.
All right, let's see, someone who had a student in early childhood special ed, but they did not qualify when they turned 3. If you've gone through that process, I do not believe you need to go through the screening. More questions about the High Five program. Take a look at the brochure and then certainly give us a call if you have questions. I'll give you my number at the end of going through these questions as well, and you can call me at the office this evening. Did you say we can register now for option 2? If you qualify for options 1 or option 2, you can go through that registration process at this time and start getting your paperwork submitted.
They can go through the registration process beginning on March 23rd.
Okay. If they have questions about, if you have questions about what's required for documentation, that'll be listed in the brochure catalog as well, but you can certainly call into the office and have those answered beforehand too. How can we find the elementary maps for options 1 and 2? There is a link on the district website where you put your address in and it tells you which elementary area you are, attendance area that you were in. So you would know if you would qualify and meet those guidelines for options 1 and 2. Michelle, would it be possible to send that link to families?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, when I send the link to the brochure, I'll also include the link to the attendance areas. So then families can look to see what elementary schools are within options 1 and 2, and then if their family is within one of those attendance areas. Yes.
All right, some questions around twins and multiples and whether or not they would be separated in the classroom. It's up to parents. We have had parents who want their twins in different classrooms, parents who want their twins in the same classroom. So whatever your preference is, if you want them placed in the same class, we will work to do that. If you would like them in separate rooms, we can also make that. And whether or not, if they are in the same classroom, there would be times they may be in the small group. There may be times they'd be in separate small group activities in the classroom, but that is something you could certainly talk to the teacher about and let her know, you know, what you might like to see your child, if they need to have some time away from sibling, or if you find that they get more comfort by being in the same group. We would certainly start out the year that way too, and try to keep them close together if you find that's helpful. So student and teacher ratio, more specifically for Saturday classes. So in that class, Saturday classes do not have students who are on IEPs, so there's no special education staff. So there would be a teacher and an assistant in our Saturday classes with a maximum of 18 students in that class. So 18 children and 2 staff people at the most. A little more on the tuition of pre-K for option 3 Saturday. Again, that'll be in the grid in the brochure link, and it breaks down number of days of the week, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day programming and what the cost is that goes with those.
If any of you who are online have received your preschool catalog in the mail, if you could just mention it in the chat. I'm just curious if they're reaching homes just yet or not. They were mailed mid last week, so we're hoping they're coming to homes very soon.
Question about child who is in 3-year-old preschool now. Only register for 1 choice. Yeah, Brianna, if you want to call the main office or maybe even call me at the end of this presentation, I can answer that question. So I'll give you my number. I'm at the end of the questions that are in the chat, and you can give me a call. If a child goes to daycare, has always been in district, but they live outside of the district, would her daycare be her home address for pickup transportation to qualify for in-district programs? And Jordan, I might have you give me a call too, depending on whether or not you have other children who are open enrolled in the district. We can take a look at what that might look like. Typically, I mean, we can, for options 1 and 2, do transportation to and from daycares as well. So I suspect we'd be able to make that option work potentially. Potty training requirement apply to special education children. It does not always apply to special education students. Often in the individual education plan, there are accommodations for toilet training. So if your student is on an IEP, it would not be a requirement for them. Is the deposit refundable if you choose not to attend the fall session after registration? That is the only part that is not refundable, is that deposit fee of $49. Tuition would be refunded, but the deposit would not. For option 2, how would you determine if your address is under the morning or afternoon schedule? Once we have the registration confirmed and we have busing routes, then clerical staff let you know whether your student would be morning or afternoon, because it is based on those busing routes. Once they've routed all of the preschool through K through 5 students, they would tell us whether your student is morning or afternoon. A good way where parents could connect for transport sharing. We don't arrange carpooling with parents, but parents can arrange that, possibly at open house if you talk to other parents or other neighbors. You could certainly arrange it, and then you would just list that on the student information form, who can pick up your child. So we do make sure we have a list of who's eligible to pick up your child. So we would want to know if you have arranged for carpooling with neighbors or daycare people or other families who are attending the same preschool class. And it looks like a number of people have received their catalog.
Good, good.
The high 5 is listed under the option 3 4-year-old programming, and it just lists the location and the times that it's at. We didn't break out the curriculum because we follow the same curriculum in all the programmings. It'll just be targeted to older 4s. So if you have some specific questions about what that might look like, it'll depend on where the students are coming into the classroom too, but we're hopeful that being the older 4s or turning 5 early on, that we will have some pockets of students who are, at a higher level and would be able to target the experiences for where they're at developmentally with some social skills built in there as well, because they're similar ages in their classroom. A number of people who also did not get their catalogs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it may depend on neighborhoods. Post offices have a certain time period where they do have to deliver them. If you don't get it within,
say, by the end of this week.
Yeah, call the office and we will get one sent out to you.
And the preschool office phone number is on your screen right now. It is 763-506.
All right, is this registration for the 21-22 school year? Yes, it is. So the registration that we're talking about now would start for fall, September. It's usually the Monday after Labor Day is when our preschool programming would start. So it is for the 21-22 school year. Let's see, someone who received a catalog last year, our catalog is based on the age of students. So if they are preschool aged, you will get one. If they are kindergarten eligible, you would not have a catalog mailed to you. So you will need to reach out to the office to get one. For option 3, is our first choice a guarantee? It is not a guarantee. Different sites fill up, have higher demand than others. So that's why we encourage you to have 2 to 3 choices listed on your registration. And the registration fee is $49. Is the last question that I see in the chat box. I'm going to put my number in the chat box here as well, 763-506-1266. I'm going to be in my office for a bit here. If you want to call and ask specific questions related to like your child or specific questions around different options, you can certainly give me a call. Michelle will stay online and continue to answer questions. Do you want them to ask them?
They can put them right in the chat. It's just fine.
All right. So I'm going to be here in my office, 763-506-1266. You can certainly call me or Michelle will answer questions in the chat. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to having your child in our preschool program and learning through play. Have a great night.
And let me see.